Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio, and this is Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines from the past. On this day, the 9th of October, before we begin with our headlines, I would like to thank all of you for getting the channel to 103 subscribers. Historian Radio and I personally am forever grateful to you all. And for more interesting historical news, please stay tuned in to Historian Radio and its current program and series titled Echoes of the News. Now we begin with today's headlines on the 9th of October, 28 BC, when the Temple of Apollo was dedicated on Palatine Hill in Rome. This would be a significant moment in the history of Roman architecture, as the Temple of Apollo is regarded as one of the most iconic and famous Roman buildings of the period, which would be dedicated on this day in 28 BC. And in 1470, on the 9th of October, Henry VI was restored to the English throne after his deposition in 1461. This would be an intriguing political moment in the history of the English throne. Continuing on this date, in 1947, the first ever call took place between a phone in a car and a phone on board a plane in the state of Delaware in the United States of America. This would be a significant moment in technological history and in scientific achievement. And on the subject of achievement, in 1962, Uganda would be celebrating its Independence Day with its first native Prime Minister, Milton Obote, on this very day, the 9th of October. This day would thus be marked in Ugandan history as its national day. And unfortunately, on this date in 1967, Che Guevara was captured in Bolivia and was shot. Che Guevara would then be remembered as the face of revolution and political change, as he is remembered today. Now we move on to the next segment of our show, where we recount the famous births and deaths of historical figures from the 19th and 20th centuries and sometimes earlier. Born on this day in 1940 was John Lennon, a famous member of the Beatles band, the iconic rock and roll band of the 1960s of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. John Lennon is not just regarded for his performances with the Beatles, but also his individual performances and the performances that he gave with his wife, Yoko Ono. Thus, his birth is celebrated by Beatles fans and John Lennon fans all across the world. And unfortunately, on this date, Pope Pius XII, or Pope Pius XII, passed away. He was regarded as an influential figure in the politics of Europe up until his death in 1958. And of course, alongside him, Che Guevara would also pass away on this date in 1967, as mentioned earlier. The cause of death would be a gunshot from the regime that had captured him in Bolivia. And on that unfortunate note, we conclude today's headlines of the day. You were watching and listening to Historian Radio's Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines as history first heard them. Good night.